For the first time ever, I looked at the screen cap that Brent has for the paste to plan thing, and I was like, is that someone's actual code? Because that doesn't look like anything from Stack Overflow.
Yeah.
Hey, but if it's out there, it's public.
Yeah, it's true. Welcome to paste the plan.
Your data's public, it ain't private, sir.
Including all the weird, dirty pictures that you draw with query plans.
Don't think I've tried. Don't think I want to try. That seems more trouble than it's worth.
What, drawing pictures with query plans?
Yes.
Most of them, when they look really bad, have one of two shapes. They either look like Tyrannosaurus Rexes or they look like Loch Ness monsters. They either, like when query plans have that like, oh god, I don't want to do this shape. It's always like they either go blah or they go brr. And I close both of those very quickly.
Oh man, I was gonna wear my Borussia Dortmund jersey today, but they got lost pretty bad yesterday, so I decided not to wear it. Oh well.
Fair weather fan you are.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. All right. It's 12:15, and we have a handful of questions. Folks, if you have other questions, you should start asking them, because if we get through this handful of questions and we don't have any more, we are going to go back to our normal daily schedules. So,
Erik is going to shut it all down.
That's true, real fast, because I got stuff to do. I got things to do.
I got vacuuming to look. Look, it's vacuuming. It's amazing.
Isn't that amazing? How well it vacuums?
I don't even know what vacuuming is.
Oh, share, Richie.
So it's a process that Postgres has to remove space from a table.
Okay.
So if you do some deletes, it as opposed to doing it, I guess, at the time of delete, it's just an additional process where it does it. It removes those row versions, pages. I'm not even quite sure what they use, but they remove that space from the table.
Sort of like captive pages in a heap, I guess.
Yeah.
They just hang out doing things. Bummer. Anyway, I guess I'll read some questions now. Josh asks, I've come across an older database that I need to perform some maintenance tasks on, but the documentation we have only mentions the only account is SA in this database. I do not know the SA password. Is there any way I can reset the SA password or generate another account with sysadmin role? My senior DBA created this database a while back, but he has since retired, leaving me looking for advice on where to even start correcting the issue.
How are you even connecting in the first place? I mean, so you must be using your Windows account and probably have sysadmin, so you're good to go. But I would definitely add another SQL sysadmin account just as a backup in case something happens with your Windows account, and then maybe plan for an SA password change. I mean, I would see if anybody's logging in with SA, because maybe the application is, and changing that password is obviously not a good idea if the app is using it.
You know what I'd do? Is I'd go look under the old DBA's keyboard for the sticky note that he has all his passwords on. That's what I'd do, because we know they're under there. We know they're there somewhere.
So where do you guys stand on the SA account? Do you keep it or do you replace it?
One of my jobs that was really into security renamed it. But that doesn't really change anything because it's still the same SID, but it was renamed. I've never gone to this, gotten to a point where I've just disabled the account. But it's always some like 20-character password that we just throw into LastPass or whatever, and then nobody is supposed to use it. And it's just our backdoor entry as a just in case.
Yeah, there's been some weird cases where applying CUs and service packs have failed if the SA account either is renamed or disabled and so and so. Even if you want to follow really good security practices, and then you want to patch your software so that it's more secure, you have to do something unsecure to be more secure. And that it's a weird tail chase on that sometimes. All right, let's go to the next one, which I haven't read yet, so who knows what surprises will be in here. Brenting this one hard. Let's see here. We have a database that is approaching 1 terabyte in size. Twice we have had to perform DR to recover something that was deleted, and the process to restore the database takes about 4 hours. The developer in charge of this department is requesting that we split out this database into file groups in hopes that this will help with DR. Is this possible? Good idea. Do you have better ideas? My number one idea would be to stop giving people access to this database where they can lose data. That would be the first thing I did, because if you have, let's see, what's a nice word? Jack something. Let's just call them donkeys. If you've got some donkeys on your team who go around running queries without where clauses, running faulty updates and stuff like that, then they shouldn't have access to this data anyway, especially if they've caused this many problems this quickly. With this kind of business continuity issue where it takes 4 hours to restore a database to get some stuff back, I would ban them permanently from the database.
Now, I'm just wondering what they mean by DR. I mean, it stands for disaster recovery, but did they fail over to the disaster recovery site, or do they mean
no,
this is a disaster? Let's restore right here in place.
Well, it sounds like they had to restore the database to somewhere, maybe another server or something, and then recover the data back to the original server, perhaps?
Yeah, so I'm a donkey, and I have done a delete without a where clause on accident. I was able to do a side-by-side restore, because I had the storage available to do it, and then I was able to move the data over. So you're making sure you have transaction log backups and taking a final tail log backup. That way you can potentially do this without data loss. However, as data is coming in while you're doing this process, a side-by-side process at least, you could be mucking with things. You might have some foreign key issues. I mean, there's no telling. I was lucky in the table that I did this oopsie on, that it didn't have foreign keys anywhere, and it was there wasn't much risk on this table.
I did that once where I didn't have a where clause in the user table. The table name was users. So yeah, that was not fun. And since then I've been paranoid with deletes. Just paranoid,
yeah.
And which is good. I think you should be paranoid when deleting stuff.
Changing data in general should be
exactly. And I'm sick of that as a production DBA, because it's usually we're changing data because of application bugs, and developers know it. Oftentimes will know what the bug is, or maybe they don't. But if they do, the business hasn't given them time to fix it. They're let's move forward with all these feature requests and these other critical things, but not this. And so I'm stuck having to manipulate production data, and that's just there's room for human error.
Yeah.
So file group certainly helps out with this situation, because you can do restores a file group at a time. But I don't know that I would implement file groups because of this.
Yeah, that seems like a weird step to take, especially given some of the pain that you might find in creating all these files and file groups and moving data over to them.
Moving data, yeah. Especially if it's 1 terabyte in size, and you're moving things around. Wow.
That's not a trivial task, even if you're lucky to have the online rebuilds and whatnot. You're looking at a pretty tremendous amount of work. If your developer has a really quick and easy plan for that, oh yeah, just add file groups, it'll be fine. Okay, well, go ahead. That's your weekend then, pal. That's not my weekend.
So what would be some reasons to add kind of file groupy type things?
Well, I mean, this is one of them.
Yeah. You listed all exactly one of them. I mean, aside from if you have a single file that's approaching the limit, which is what, like 16 terabytes. So if you have one file or file that's approaching that limit, then it might be a good idea to start adding in some more. But then you're still looking at moving crap around, and that's not fun.
Or if you have some disks that you want to leverage for this table, faster disks or slower disks or read-only file group type thing.
Read-only.
But usually we start thinking about those before we hit 1 terabyte. Once you get into the VLDB sizes, oh boy, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of choices that need to get made early on when you're worried about a database scaling, stuff like use big ints, get used to developing with an optimistic isolation level, get into compression, stuff like that, just general things that are really good ideas if you're worried about a database getting really big and scaling up in size really quickly. So file groups are sort of part of that picture. But yeah, mostly I would just whip my developers until they stop losing data.
Fair.
Let's see. Here's a good Richie question.
Yeah.
I mean, by that I mean it's not a good anyone here question. Does Python have any benefits over C# in Microsoft SQL Server in particular, and in other? I mean, come on, let's just keep it to SQL Server. So Richie, what do you think I guess interacting with SQL Server, C# or Python?
Depends what you want to do with it, right? So if you want to write kind of functions and then throw it in a DLL and then put that in SQL Server, then C#'s the way to go, right? So that's why you do the .NET DLLs and do all that stuff. If you want to get into more of the data sciencey stuff, some of the more new stuff that SQL Server is kind of getting its toes into, then Python would be the kind of the way to go with that. So it really depends. I think nowadays more so the data sciencey stuff is getting kind of hot. A lot of people are trying to get into it. Python is absolutely the way to go. Actually, I had a little app that I created that took some data and then plotted it on a chart. It was like for my daughter's soccer team. And I told a friend of mine, hey, just check this out. I went ahead and did this chart, and he asked me, well, did you do that in D3, which is a JavaScript thing? And I said, no, I did it in C#. He's like, well, why would you do that in C#? I'm like, well, because it's easy, and I know how to do it in C# already. So that's just to show you that people are thinking, past C# for some of these other things. And it's weird for me to think C# as kind of a legacy thing. But it's almost getting there because it's been there for so long. But Python is definitely some of the new hotness, and if you want to do more of some of the data sciencey thing is probably the way to go.
Does C# offer anything for data science people, or is it completely just offloaded to like Python and R and like MATLAB and whatever?
I mean, all that stuff is kind of really focused for more of that mathematical stuff. You could kind of do all that stuff in C#. It's just probably going to take you a little bit more lines of code to do that kind of thing.
Sure.
So, it's once I have this theory on languages. It's kind of like once you learn one and the basics of how to program a language, jumping to another one isn't as hard as learning it from base one from scratch without having any programming knowledge.
Unless it's JavaScript.
Well, I've worked for JavaScript a long time, so
sorry.
It's not hard for me. I mean, I kind of get it. We use it here. I mean, that's constant carrier is all JavaScript.
Yeah, I know.
Background.
I've seen it.
It's how can you see it? I would block your account from any of the source code.
Get thee behind me. I don't know. I can't do anything with it. I'm not even smart enough to break it.
Each language has its own kind of flavor, what it kind of does best. Python is kind of the data-y type thing. C# I think is more of a Windows type environment, great general purpose language where you could do a lot of different things pretty quickly and pretty easily. The really hard part about C# is learning the .NET framework. The .NET framework is vast. It's long in the tooth. There's a lot of things going on in there, and even the new one that they have, the .NET Core, there's a lot that have changed in 3 versions going on there. So I could talk a lot along for this, but this is not a programming podcast.
Whatever. Notice that Richie didn't say PowerShell once. Just throwing that out.
It's not a real language. It's not a language.
I agree. So here's a good Tara question. So we had a good Richie question. Here's a good Tara question. In an always-on availability group, do you recommend performing your log backups on the primary or secondary, and why?
I do my backups on the primary because there's no latency there on my backups. I don't want any backups to have even a few seconds of latency in case there needs to be some kind of recovery there. Even on a synchronous commit secondary replica, there can be latency. The secondary can switch to async without even telling you due to some kind of issue. It's documented on books online and MSDN. So I don't offload that task because backups aren't causing me any problems on the primary.
I hear that. Let's see here. Graham asks kind of an interesting question, perhaps a bit religious. Why is Postgres so popular, aside from the fact that it's free?
free.
There you go. That's the reason.
That's it.
You just answered your own question. Thank you very much. I mean, I guess the more the question is, why is MySQL so popular? Because MySQL has more stuff that will remove data and all this other crazy stuff and settings that you have to make sure that are right. So why is MySQL so popular? Postgres is more along the lines of an Oracle and a SQL Server with more enterprisey features, but MySQL has a lot of stuff that makes us cringe and stuff that's kind of, why would you want that in a database? So, and the answer to both is free.
Yeah. If I had the power, I would classify MySQL as a super fun site. That would be the first thing that I would do, is just get it walled off, dig a giant pit, throw it in, get some toxic waste in there. I mean, yeah. Postgres is, far more feature-rich, I think far more dependable, reliable as a database. And for the price, you kind of can't beat what you get in return for it.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that it's fairly nifty that you can go and read through all the source code. So if you run into an issue, you can be like, oh, that's where it is. And, you can contribute changes to it. And in a way, I feel like that's kind of a lot more interesting to a certain group of people who don't just want to sort of impotently raise a user voice item and wait for someone from Microsoft to maybe get around to fixing it. So
closes one fixed.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, going back to MariaDB or MySQL, MariaDB exists because of MySQL's failings in a lot of ways. So I don't know why, this MariaDB or MySQL came up, but I have just so many problems with MySQL.
Yeah.
Core problems. And shouldn't exist.
For a while,
free.
I mean, just
that's why they're more popular.
Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah, it was like barely a notch above SQLite, but it's missing just basic stuff that linguistically, as far as the optimizer goes, just certain join types were just not supported. It was just holy cow, what are you doing?
Yeah, and not to say Postgres doesn't have its failings, because
but everything
there's a fair amount in there, but
vacuuming.
or single threading, and some of the query processing and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. All right. So Josh asks, for tempdb, we are using mount points instead of drive letters or local storage due to decisions made by others previously. Are there any downsides to doing this or any concerns?
There is a downside, and I can't remember what it was, but we were using mount points directly off the root drive, and so we would use fbackups, fdata, flog, ftempdb. And we had no issues with it, but Microsoft, when they did an assessment of our servers through the whatever you get with the PFE stuff, the RAP report or whatever it is, we were notified that you're supposed to create a folder first and then have the mount point underneath that folder. But we never ran into an issue, but there was some sort of possible issue that could be encountered that way. But as far as using mount points in general, totally fine. I mean, I've been using SQL Server and Windows a long time, and back in the day, we didn't get to have mount points, and we had a lot of instances on failover clusters, and possibility of running out of letters in the alphabet. So mount points, helped out with that.
I'm glad I've never run into that problem.
Well, I mean, we were only notified of the problem. We didn't run into the problem. Oh, the drive letter thing?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully that's a lot easier of a problem to detect than running out of ints or an identity. It's oh, we're at Q. Shoot.
Yes.
Time to start.
Is that where some Star Trek character comes up and starts randomly annoying you?
I hope so. Because it's not a weird night without that.
I supported a 4-node cluster with 11 instances on it back in the day. Yeah.
I don't like the way that. I don't like the way that math. So.
And I mean, I think 6 of them were production and 5 of them were staging, and they wanted to have the staging on the same cluster. But we had gotten up to letter P, I think it was, in the alphabet. Back then. I know it wasn't what I wanted to do.
E for poor decisions.
Yeah. Right. Sheesh. Jeez Louise. All right, let's see here. I got some other fun questions around. What would lots of attention events in a profiler trace during a bulk insert indicate? I don't know. Got me on that one.
From what I remember, attention events can you can It can relate to a timeout from the application.
Well, hope it's not too closely related. All right, let's see here. My database backup, Joseph asked, my database backup does not restore. When I tried to restore the header, it shows incomplete. Does this mean the backup is corrupt? What could be the possible reasons for it to be corrupt?
Oh yeah, it's corrupt.
Yeah. Throw that one out. Time to take a new one, init, format.
Fix your disk, whatever's going on there. You've got some kind of probably disk corruption. I would be running checkdb if you have any databases running on that same drive. Or disk.
Back up to something more reliable like wet paper, just lots of choices there.
Also run restore header only. You have to see what kind of error it has.
Or restore file list only. Maybe there's something maybe there's like multiple files in there and you're getting at the wrong one or something like that. Steve says he started a new job and there are a bunch of merge statements that take 28 minutes. What would you do?
I'd stop using merge. I mean, period, end of story.
Yeah. So Aaron Bertrand has many good articles about merge and the problems with it. But I have to say that some of my favorite articles are written by a guy named Michael Swart. And let me see if I can get to the internet. Oh, I started typing in Michael instead of Internet Explorer where I was going to type Michael. All right, so let's. Yeah, I know. Well, I'm on my VM where I don't have Chrome installed.
What?
Yeah, what am I supposed to do?
That is weird, man.
Why is that weird?
Even Microsoft said Internet Explorer. No, we're going to go to Chromium. Yep.
Yeah, I read about that. Where is this thing? Michael J. Swart, Upsert. You know what? I think some more words in there. There we go. So Michael J. Swart has a great post about upsert patterns and anti-patterns. And this is because he's written a bunch of other posts about how kind of god-awful crappy merge can be and sort of ways he's gone around that where, merge is an anti-pattern. And then when you finally get through all the anti-patterns that he's discovered over the years, there are some better ones where you go to the patterns and do some begin and try and some other things. So I would really just run screening from merge in general. I personally much prefer to do either insert or update. Figure out if the data is there. If it's there, update. If it's not there, insert. Merge is just syntactical sugar for a bunch of garbage that Microsoft stopped working on years ago because there were just so many issues with it that I think they just kind of gave up to. Merge. What a hot garbage. Anyway, that's enough from me. Brandon asks, what is your process if you have to restore one table from a database? Do you restore the whole database and pull out what you need, or some secret tips? There are third-party tools like Quest Lightspeed that can do object-level restores. SQL Server used to have it, but it got yoinked. I think it's probably one of the most requested features is to be able to do object-level restore. But right now, you need to use third-party tools in order to do it. Otherwise, there's just no other good. There's no other good way to do that.
We used to have that functionality way back in SQL Server 6.5.
Yeah.
Hard to believe that they were able to achieve such a technological feat then, and then they ceded all work on that to people who were, I don't know, developing other tools and other backup methods. I don't know. Weird all around. Michael asks, Michael says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too, Michael. I think, maybe, if you've been a good boy this year. Is there anything in SQL Server 2019 that you are really looking forward to? You guys got anything?
I haven't really paid much attention to it.
No? Richie?
Yeah, I haven't paid much attention to it either because I live in a different world now. It's a strange and unique world where I have to tidy up my databases using a vacuum process. But I would love to see, and we haven't seen it since SQL Server 2012, is more T-SQL improvements. The more I use Postgres, the syntactical sugar and some of these other functions are just it's just a little nicer than what we have in SQL Server. So if I had my druthers, they'd be going back to the T-SQL land and improving the language a bit.
So, specifically, what from Postgres would you like to see over in in SQL Server?
Oh, I couldn't tell you offhand right now because I'm just wondering if my vacuum process just failed or if it
Oh, you
if it just
can
finished.
check on that if you want.
No, there's some inherent functions that make things
Yeah.
a little easier, as well as casting. All I need is 2 dots and to cast and things like that. Things like I was like, oh yeah, that's a lot better than doing a cast or convert function on
Sure.
something like that.
Sure. Yeah. I think for me, for SQL Server 2019, I'm most looking forward to batch mode for row store indexes. I think that's going to be the absolute biggest improvement. It's going to be interesting though, because it's really only good for sort of larger data sets. And so for people who are on doing like OLTP type stuff, they might not really see any love from that just yet. But I think that's what I'm most looking forward to. Freud, so the stuff with the inlining of scalar valued functions, that's going to be huge for a lot of people. That's like an absolute reason to upgrade, like not having scalar valued functions crap all over your workload all day long, once per row, just like leaving little turdlets along the way. I think that's going to be pretty awesome. I don't know, lots of cool stuff. But I think what's really telling to me is the problems that still are out there in the wild not getting solved. Like parameter sniffing is still, it's a huge problem. People supplying like optional parameters is still a huge problem. Stuff like that. So I think what's interesting is stuff that's still on the table for later versions that hopefully will get addressed at some point so that I can retire.
Has it been confirmed that the inlining of scalar functions is in 2019? I thought there was some.
I mean, it's in CTP 2.1 and 2.2. So.
And hopefully it won't get pulled, right? Right.
Have you tested it?
Yeah, it works okay. It's worked okay in the stuff I found. I mean, there's limitations to it.
Yeah. Okay.
But like everything else. Julie asked, is there office hours next week? I don't think so.
What day is next week?
26.
Oh, yeah, probably, because I think we only have Christmas Day off. Oh, I won't be there. I have a client.
Yeah, well, I won't be there because I'll be off.
Finally taking some vacation.
Let me see. I don't know.
It was requested by the big boss, not but the biggest boss.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. If it's just going to be me, the answer is no. I don't know. I don't know who else is going to be around though. We'll see. It'll be a surprise. It'll be a Christmas miracle if we have office hours next week. Let's see here. Sorry. So a loyal, dedicated attendee asks, what are some good blogs you suggest to learn about Postgres? Do you know any, Richie? I don't.
Ooh, no, I don't. In fact, it's really hit and miss with some of the Postgres stuff. Yeah. So, I don't have any learning materials to kind of learn it other than just dive into it, which is my preferred method of, learning something new. It's not like the SQL Server community where there's a lot of great bloggers out there, yeah. And they're consistently blogging. They have been blogging for 10+ years. It's different. It's just different.
I agree. Let's see. Joseph asks, when you run a stats update and you don't give it a sample percent, what does it use to figure out? What does SQL Server use to figure out what percentage to sample at?
Now, I can't remember. Does update statistics have a default? But if you do SP update stats, the built-in store procedures, it'll use whatever.
Default is a weird calculation.
Yeah.
Paul White wrote about it, and he has an answer on Stack Exchange that I can't find that I can't find easily. But he talks about the equation that gets used to figure out. It's like.
It's not just the 20%?
No. It does something internally where it does a calculation based on like how many rows are in the table or something like that, and it does some weird percentage of them. If you ever look at the Statman thing and you see the table sample thing in there, it's like that percentage gets figured out in a really weird calculation.
The answer is 42.
Yeah, I wish there were magic numbers in there and not like bizarre calculations. And to finish things, What?
We're not going to tell you 42 what. It's just 42.
Yeah, units. Query box, maybe. And to finish things off, Tammy asks, how is Santa able to visit all those homes in one night?
That's a good question. That's why my son started questioning the whole Santa thing in like kindergarten.
Bad news is that Santa has done what just about every other industry has done, and he has outsourced all of the work to other people. So it's mostly just parents who deliver the presents to their own homes, and hopefully don't steal any from any of their homes, and hopefully don't do any weird Krampus stuff.
The answer is teleportation.
Yeah.
So it's Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is Santa.
If you wanted to give a real gift to the world, Santa would share his teleportation technology. That would be.
Or if you're more in the Harry Potter universe, he disapparates.
Yeah, I am not.
Operates somewhere else.
No, thank you. Skip that. Skip that whole thing. No. No good. All right. That's all the questions we have. Thank you for joining us. Maybe see you next week. Maybe not. It'll be a surprise, just like what's under the tree, and hopefully it'll smell better. All right, folks. Thank you. Goodbye.